Imagine waking up one morning, reaching to button your shirt, and watching your other hand suddenly swat yours away. It pulls your hair or rips at your clothes, acting with its own distinct hostile intent. Neurologists document this as alien hand syndrome, a glitch where the brain's internal command structure has essentially fractured. Living with this condition shatters a basic assumption we all share, that our sense of being a single, unified individual is a permanent fact, rather than a fragile biological construct. This sense of unity is maintained by the corpus callosum. It is a dense, white matter connective bridge that facilitates constant, high-speed crosstalk between the left and right hemispheres. Physical agency and what we call free will depend on this specific anatomical link functioning without interruption. But for those with medically refractory epilepsy, like Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, the brain begins generating uncontrollable electrical surges that the body cannot contain. A localized electrical misfire on one side of the brain uses the corpus callosum as a shortcut. It instantly crosses to the opposite hemisphere, triggering a total electrical storm that engulfs the entire mind. These generalized surges lead to drop attacks. The patient instantly loses all muscle tone and collapses, often resulting in severe facial and neck injuries. When standard medications fail to stop these falls, the patient faces a cycle of constant, life-threatening trauma. To stop the damage, neurosurgeons have to perform a radical intervention. They must intentionally destroy the very bridge that allows the brain hemispheres to communicate. To protect the patient's physical body, the surgeon must effectively divide their mind in two. The traditional approach to this quarantine is the corpus callosotomy, an open skull operation designed to physically sever the connection. This surgical mapping shows the initial entry. Surgeons elevate a rectangular bone flap at the vertex of the skull, pulling back the dural layer to access the deep interhemispheric fissure that separates the two halves of the brain. Reaching the target requires navigating a perilous descent, carefully moving past major bridging veins and the pericallosal arteries that supply blood to the frontal lobes. This diagram highlights the exact volume of white matter targeted for destruction. Using suction and cautery, the surgeon divides the callosum from front to back, taking care to stay within the cavum septum pellucidum to avoid entering the brain's fluid-filled ventricles. Often, the posterior-most portion of the bridge is left intact during the first stage. This helps mitigate the most severe risks of a total cognitive disconnection. The surgery successfully traps the electrical storms on one side of the brain, but it leaves the patient with a permanent structural divide in their consciousness. Modern neurosurgery now offers a less invasive alternative, LIT, or laser interstitial thermal therapy. This method uses focused heat rather than a scalpel. Instead of a large craniotomy, surgeons drill a tiny hole to insert a 5mm laser probe directly into the brain matter. Surgeons use 3D models to plot precise laser trajectories, burning through the bridge without damaging the surrounding cortex. A complete disconnection requires 4 targets: the anterior and posterior body, the genu, and the splenium. While the seizures often stop immediately, patients frequently enter a state called disconnection syndrome. They may experience apathy, confusion, and a temporary inability to speak. Even when the medical chart records a successful outcome, the patient's hemispheres have been forced into a state of permanent isolation. This isolation manifests as intermanual conflict. Both halves of the brain are awake and processing information, but they can no longer consult one another. The left hemisphere retains language and logic, controlling the right hand. The right hemisphere manages spatial awareness, controlling the left hand. When the right hemisphere acts on an independent impulse, the left hand unbuttons. The speaking left hemisphere watches this happen, but because the bridge is gone, it has no way to send a stop command. The alien hand is the silent half of the patient's own consciousness, acting on its own independent will. This reveals that our sense of having a single, unified identity is entirely dependent on this biological wiring. When the bridge is cut, the illusion of a single self dissolves into 2 separate actors sharing one body. If you have ever felt your body move on autopilot while your mind was elsewhere, you felt a shadow of this divide. It is a reminder of how fragile the link between our mind and our actions truly is.